Do we have Joseph around?
Yeah, I'm here.
His name, I see his name emblazoned across my screen. Oh, there you are. Hi, Joe.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. Nice to see you, and thanks for taking the time to interview all of us.
Oh, I love talking to all of you. So how's life in West Sacramento?
We are keeping ourselves very busy. Thank God we have art, and,
Yeah,
and thank God we have a lot of nature here. So, Paula and I, as you know, she's also an artist. We start our day almost every day with a long walk along the river at Clarksburg Trail, where we get to see a lot of inspirational views of nature and wildlife.
yeah.
So that sets the pace for the day.
Wow, that's great. So Joe,
Except with all the smoke, we
yeah, I
some
was just going to say the last couple of days you didn't see much.
no, it was a little change.
Yeah, it's really been brutal. Um, it could be worse, though, I suppose. You could be closer to those fires, so
Yeah.
count your blessings. So Joe has been making mixed media paintings and sculptural pieces of art and exploring the universe for over 50 years. You don't look like you're over 50.
Oh, I'm way over 50.
He's lived in many places throughout the country, Montana, Oklahoma, Boston, and New York. That's interesting. You picked two states and then you went to two cities, but mostly in various places in California. He did attend Massachusetts College of Art, where he received an MFA from CSU Humboldt, and he wasn't satisfied with Humboldt's MFA, so he got an MFA from UC Santa Barbara.
Yeah, I was kind of a perpetual student. I didn't want to get into the real world yet.
He was a freelance designer in his younger days and now focuses on both studio and public art.
Yes, sir.
So you get up in the morning, you take your walk down the Clarksburg Trail, and then you come back to your studio. What's a typical day in your studio like?
Okay, I'm glad you asked. So if I make it to the studio, I have to my studio is in a separate building from the house. And on my way to
long ways away from the house. What is it, 100 feet?
Yeah. So on my way to the studio, I walked through a cactus and succulent garden, which is just full of wonderful patterns and colors. And I often get distracted. I'm easily distracted by things like spider webs and the colors on the cactus petals and so forth. And then there might be a little weeding needed. Anything to procrastinate where I'm really going, because I'm not sure where I'm going. And then when I get to the studio, I usually have a lot of cleanup to do. So it's kind of like a ritual. So I have to put everything in order before I can get some semblance of a focus. And then the process begins.
So do you have pieces? Are you working on two or three different pieces at a time, or do you concentrate on one particular piece until it's done?
As I said, I'm easily distracted, so I work on many pieces simultaneously until something galvanizes my attention so much that I can't let it go. Until my intuition says you better stop or you're going to mess it up. Then I move on to something else.
So that's kind of your artistic process, as you work on a number of different pieces at the same time until one all of a sudden motivates you to just push it to the limit.
Well, I have a lot of interest. I could say here that nature and both the macro and the micro aspects of the landscape and its luminosity and combine that with scientific inquiry inspires my artwork. I'm concerned with the way certain qualities of space, light, and pattern may stimulate kind of experiences of feeling connected with nature, with the world, and the transcendence of kind of a limited perception. In other words, I'm really interested in extraordinary ways to see the everyday world. And and that starts with the world, immediate world around me. And I work on, personal, intimate work, large and small scale. And usually at the same time, I'm working on public art projects of significant scale and or maybe smaller scale. So I'm combining this idea of work that's going to be viewed by a very diverse public and work that is going to be very subjective and very personal at the same time.
So tell us a little bit about maybe one of your favorite public art pieces that you've completed recently.
Okay, can I share a screen to show some slides?
Justina?
That's fine.
Yeah, if you know how to do that, you can do it. It's okay with me.
Okay. All right, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, so before I get to the public art, I talked about how I walk through my garden, and this is what I see.
Spider webs.
I see spider webs with all this jewel-like, I spray some water droplets on it, and I see bands of colors, spectrum color, and I realize we live in such an extraordinary world where we don't always pay attention to the things hidden from us, right around us. But back to the public art. So I'm going to show you some older public art to start with. And this is kind of typical of a lot of the work I've done. I'm very inspired, as I said, macro and micro views of the landscape. And so this piece on the right is called Catch a Book. And it's a sculpture that sits in front of the West Sacramento Library. And the book covers on it are inspired by patterns that I saw from a plane, aerial views of the local rice fields and so forth.
Uh-huh.
And in the contours are quotations, which are emblematic of the ethnic diversity of the area. There's quotations by Russian writers, Spanish-speaking writers, women artists, and so forth. You can go there and check it out.
Wow.
And then the idea of catch a book is that the library is there for you to catch knowledge,
Uh-huh.
And but most of all, the kids love to, as soon as they see this, I've watched them, they get out of the car and it's a jungle gym.
Yeah.
So it has that dimension. The piece on the left is called Along to the Chutes. And this is a typical of many of my public art pieces. It's a multi-panel wall relief. And it depicts regional patterns along the Deschutes River around Bend, Oregon. And this was made for a college in Bend, Oregon.
Wow.
And it also happens to coincide with some patterning that's on the floor.
Interesting.
So, but during this pandemic, I've been very busy. I'll show you a few things I've completed during the pandemic.
Okay.
Here's a series of pieces. They're very textural, if you could actually see them in person. This is for a hospital in Kentucky, cancer center.
So are those paintings on canvas, or are they?
Those are paintings on panel, and the contours and the straight lines are very dimensional, if you could see them in person.
Wow.
And let's see what else I've been doing during this time. Oh, here's a piece for, I've got a couple of large pieces I just completed for Wyoming healthcare system. This particular piece measures 12 feet by 16 feet, and it's for Wyoming State Hospital. And I actually submitted an abstract, which I'm more favorable to do, and the committee was very pleased with it. But when the personnel at the hospital saw it, they had second thoughts, because it's a mental hospital.
Oh.
And they were concerned that my abstract art might set the patients off. So if I wanted to keep the job, I changed my composition to reflect regional elements: the state bird, the meadowlark, an aerial view, the state butterfly, and a local bison called Titan, which I photographed. One of the fun things about these projects is I get to travel and study the landscape, talk to people, learn about what's important to the people in that region. So in my public artwork, which is very different often from my private work, it is really there to communicate with the public.
Wow.
Let's see what else, just on that subject. Here's some pieces I did of for a Notria restaurant some years ago.
Oh,
and on the subject of this atmospheric pollution, I missed the way the sun would reflect over the water. And this kind of came up because this is all about the sky and the clouds reflecting on the water. And the bottom part of these paintings is gold leaf, and the top is oil painting. And so, you might want to know what I'm working on now. I'm working on a project for the department, the Bureau of Geology in New Mexico, and at New Mexico Tech. And they have a lobby with an atrium, and the whole ceiling is a big skylight. So there's an element of light involved. And so I proposed doing 2 wall reliefs that would take advantage of the light, depicting geological themes such as waterways, aquifers, iconic landmarks, gemstones, topographic maps, etc.
right.
And so I proposed a 38-foot long wall relief on each side of the lobby. This is the north side, and then here's the other side. And some of those patterns are from White Sands, New Mexico, Carlsbad Caverns, and so forth. And here's kind of a side view. And you can see that it's on a triangular grid system made of aluminum, and I'll be fixing the panels to that. And then those grids will be attached to the wall.
Wow, so there's more than art involved. There's engineering.
There's a lot of engineering, yeah. And so I get to use, this is new for me because I'm using the element of light. So this is 20 feet off the ground, so nobody's going to get to appreciate my wonderful brushwork. So what I've done is both painted and digitally created images that are going to be printed on plexiglass.
Oh, really?
And the back of the plexiglass will have a certain percentage of white that allows light to come through. So a little bit of a stained glass effect. So it has that extra dimension to it. So that's presently what I'm working on in the public art world.
That's great. Well, Joe, it's about time to wrap up, but thank you for being on the tour again this year. I know it's a kind of a totally different way to do it virtually, but it's the world we live in, and it's kind of an exciting experiment. And we're glad you're experimenting with us.
Okay, and I want to show you my website for those who are interested in checking out my personal artwork.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Great. Thanks, Joe. We really appreciate it. Good to see you.
Okay. Bye-bye.